opening, powerful hook, and emotional pull. There are moments in life when the ground beneath us seems to vanish. A dream collapses, a relationship breaks, a plan fails, and in that silence we hear a voice within us ask, "Why me?" But perhaps the real question should be, "Why not me?" Because strength is not built when life goes smoothly. It is born when life dares to test us. Today I want to share a truth that changed my life. You cannot always choose your situation, but you can always choose your strength. And if you stay with me till the end, you will realize that the hardest times you've faced, or the ones you may face tomorrow, are not your enemies. They are your silent teachers, molding you into someone you are meant to become. Body 3 core lessons. 1. Strength is not about never falling. It's about rising every single time you do. The people who inspire us are not those who never failed, but those who refused to surrender when they did. Every great journey begins with setbacks. And those setbacks are not signs of weakness, they are training grounds for greatness. 2. Your response defines your reality. 2 people can face the same storm. One breaks, the other bends and grows stronger. What makes the difference is not the size of the storm, but the mindset of the sailor. When life challenges you, pause and ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? That single question can turn pain into progress. 3. Strength grows in silence, not noise. Being strong doesn't mean shouting louder or pretending everything is fine. It means keeping faith when the world doubts you. It means smiling through uncertainty. And it means standing tall even when you feel small inside, because true strength whispers. It never needs to scream. Closing, emotional, reflective, and uplifting. So, my friends, when the next storm comes, and it will, don't ask for an easier life, ask for a stronger heart, because life does not reward those who avoid pain. It rewards those who endure it with dignity, learn from it with humility, and rise from it with wisdom. Be strong, not because the world expects it, but because you deserve to see how powerful you truly are when you refuse to give up. There is a silent teacher in life that we often overlook. It doesn't stand at a podium, it doesn't wear a suit, and it doesn't announce itself with a bell. It arrives quietly, sometimes through a personal loss, sometimes through failure, sometimes through rejection. We call it adversity. And yet, it is through this teacher that we learn the most valuable lessons of our existence. When everything in life is smooth, when the road is straight and easy, we don't grow. We only move. Growth happens when the road turns rough, when the light seems to fade, and when we are forced to look within. It is in those moments of difficulty that our real character begins to form. Comfort makes us forget what we are capable of. Adversity reminds us. Every person who has achieved something meaningful in life has faced storms that tested their patience, their beliefs, and their courage. But the difference between those who rise and those who fall lies not in the size of the storm, but in the strength of their heart. Adversity has no intention of destroying us. Its purpose is to refine us, to strip away our fears, to polish our determination, and to awaken the part of us that is stronger than we ever imagined. Think of a seed buried deep within the soil. It cannot see the light. It feels pressure from all sides, but it keeps pushing through the darkness until one day it breaks the surface and becomes something beautiful. If the seed could speak, it might tell you that the darkness was not a punishment, it was preparation. The same is true for us. The struggles we go through are not meant to bury us, they are meant to plant us. When we are faced with hardship, our first instinct is often resistance. Why is this happening to me? But the truth is, Some of the most painful chapters of our lives become the very reasons we succeed later. The lessons that comfort never teaches, adversity does, quietly and often without our notice. It teaches patience when we're forced to wait. It teaches humility when we face failure. It teaches resilience when we fall and find the strength to rise again. You see, comfort creates habit, but adversity creates strength. A person who has never faced loss cannot fully appreciate the value of success. One who has never been misunderstood cannot understand the power of empathy. It's the rough seas that make skilled sailors, and it's the storms of life that make people capable of leading others through their own. There will be times when life seems unfair, when your efforts don't bring results, when the people you trust disappoint you, when your plans fall apart. And yet, in those very moments, something is being built within you, a quiet, unshakable strength that no one can take away, because once you've faced the worst and survived, you begin to realize that there is very little left in the world that can truly break you. The world often celebrates success stories, but what it rarely shows are the nights of doubt, the lonely decisions, and the unseen battles behind those victories. Every strong person you meet carries a story of struggle that shaped them. They didn't wake up one day with courage or wisdom. They earned it piece by piece through moments that nearly broke them. Strength is not built in comfort. Comfort may give you peace, but it never gives you power. It is the friction of difficulty that polishes your spirit. It is failure that teaches you where you went wrong. It is rejection that shows you what you truly deserve. And it is pain that teaches you compassion. Without those experiences, we might live easily, but we would live shallowly. Adversity also has a strange way of bringing clarity. When everything falls apart, you suddenly see what truly matters, who your real friends are, what your real priorities should be, and what kind of person you want to become. It clears away the noise and forces you to focus on what is essential. And when you come out of it, you are not the same person anymore. You are wiser, more grounded, and more grateful. So, when life challenges you, when things don't go your way, when doors close, when people leave, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of a transformation. You are being trained for something greater, something you may not yet understand. Adversity does not break you. It reveals you. It peels away your layers of doubt and exposes your core, that indestructible part of you that believes, endures, and continues to fight. Every mountain you climb will leave you breathless, but when you reach the top, the view will make every struggle worthwhile. Life's toughest moments are not punishments. They are invitations to grow stronger, to be wiser, and to rise higher than before. So embrace your challenges, not with fear, but with faith. Because someday, when you look back, you'll realize that the moments that tested you the most were the very moments that prepared you for everything you are today. Adversity may come as a silent teacher, but its lessons echo for a lifetime. Life has an unpredictable way of testing us. We plan everything carefully, our careers, our families, our dreams, and then, without warning, life changes the direction. What we expected to happen doesn't. What we never imagined does. And in those moments, many of us feel powerless, as though our future is controlled entirely by circumstance. But the truth is, it never truly is. The only real control we have in life is over our own mindset, the way we choose to interpret what happens to us, and the way we respond to it. You can take two people, give them the same situation, a setback, a failure, a disappointment, and watch how differently they respond. One person gives up, feeling life is unfair. The other learns, adapts, and comes back stronger. The situation was the same, but the result was completely different. What made the difference? Not luck, not talent, but mindset, because your thoughts shape your reactions. and your reactions shape your destiny. We often overestimate the power of our problems and underestimate the power of our attitude. Circumstances can make you fall, but they can't keep you down unless you decide to stay there. You can't always control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. The world will not always be kind and things will not always go as planned, but your mindset determines whether you break under pressure or bend and rise again. When you think about it, every great achievement in history began with someone who refused to be defined by their situation. People who faced rejection, who came from humble beginnings, who lost everything and started over. They all had one thing in common. They did not let their external reality decide their internal strength. They didn't wait for perfect conditions to move forward. They created their own path, driven by faith in their ability to endure and adapt. The difference between success and surrender is not the size of your challenges, but the size of your belief in yourself. You can either look at a problem and see an obstacle, or look at it and see an opportunity to learn something new. The same fire that burns can also forge steel. It depends on what it touches and how it is handled. The same is true of adversity and mindset. One person sees destruction, another sees direction. There will be times when your plans fail and nothing seems to work. It is easy in those moments to feel that life has singled you out. But remember, no one escapes hardship. The people who seem to have it all together are not living without challenges. They have simply learned how to carry them differently. Their mindset is their strength. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single shift in thinking changes despair into determination. Your thoughts are like the lens through which you view the world. If the lens is dirty with negativity, every situation will appear dark. But if it's clear with hope and perspective, even in difficulty, you'll find light. The circumstances themselves may not change immediately, but your energy, your peace, and your choices will, and that changes everything. Sometimes life will take away things you thought you could never live without, a job, a dream, or even a person. But what remains after loss is your spirit, and that is something no situation can destroy unless you let it. The strongest people are not those who have never fallen, but those who decided not to stay down. They looked beyond their pain and chose to believe in a better tomorrow. And that belief, that unshakable mindset, became the bridge between where they were and where they wanted to go. We must remember that our minds are like gardens. Whatever we plant there will grow. If we plant fear, we will live in fear. If we plant faith, we will act with courage. If we plant gratitude, we will find peace even in chaos. So the question is not what is happening around you. It is what you are allowing to grow within you. Because when your inner world is strong, no outer storm can uproot you. It is natural to feel broken at times, to feel lost or confused. Strength does not mean the absence of pain. It means choosing not to let pain define you. You can acknowledge your circumstances without surrendering to them. You can cry, stumble, and still move forward. Because resilience is not about being unshaken. It's about continuing despite the shaking. There will be voices around you and sometimes within you that whisper you cannot go on, that it's too late, too hard, too much. But every time you choose to keep going anyway, you prove those voices wrong. You remind yourself that your mind is your greatest power. Life will always be uncertain, but your attitude toward that uncertainty can either weaken you or make you unstoppable. So when things fall apart, hold on to one truth. You are bigger than your circumstances. You have the power to change how you think, and that power can change everything else. The world outside may not always bend in your favor, but your inner world can remain steady, hopeful, and determined. You may not be able to control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And often, that single decision, that small, quiet choice to stay calm, stay positive, stay patient, is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Because in the end, it's not the situation that defines you. It's your mindset that decides who you become. There comes a time in everyone's life when strength alone is not enough. You can be brave, you can be patient, you can endure pain. But without a purpose, even the strongest heart begins to tire. Purpose is what gives meaning to our struggle. It is the invisible force that pushes us forward. When everything around us seems to pull us back, without it, we are like ships drifting on the sea, moving but without direction. With it, we become unstoppable, because purpose gives power to everything we do. When you have a clear why, a reason that burns inside you, even the heaviest burden feels lighter. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start saying, "I must do this." Purpose transforms effort into passion and challenges into chapters of growth. It's the difference between living a life that happens by chance and living a life that happens by choice. The truth is, every great dream begins with a purpose. It doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. Sometimes it's as simple as wanting to make your family proud, to help others, to build something meaningful, or to become the best version of yourself. The size of your purpose doesn't matter. Its sincerity does. When you truly believe in something, it fuels you in ways that comfort never could. There will be days when life feels too heavy, when failure whispers that it's time to quit. And in those moments, purpose becomes your anchor. It reminds you why you started. It reminds you that pain is temporary, but meaning is permanent. Many people give up not because they lack ability, but because they forget their reason. When you remember your why, you find strength you didn't know you had. Purpose is not something you stumble upon one morning. It's something you build slowly through reflection, experience, and empathy. It grows as you grow. It deepens as you learn more about yourself and the world around you. Sometimes your purpose reveals itself in pain, through a loss that makes you realize what truly matters, or through a failure that teaches you what you truly care about. The very moments that break your heart can also guide it towards something greater. When your reason why is strong enough, obstacles begin to look different. They no longer appear as walls, but as steps. Every difficulty becomes a test that sharpens your will. You stop measuring progress by how easy the journey feels, and start measuring it by how faithfully you stay true to your purpose. People with purpose don't look for shortcuts. They look for strength, because they understand that the journey itself is what shapes them. Think of a lamp in the dark. The darkness doesn't disappear. It's still there. But the light gives you direction, one step at a time. Purpose is that light. It doesn't remove life's challenges, but it gives you clarity to move through them. When you lose your way, and you will sometimes, your purpose will always guide you back. Too often, people chase success without asking why they want it. They collect achievements but still feel empty, because success without purpose is like a body without a soul. Impressive on the outside, but hollow within. True fulfillment comes not from reaching a goal, but from knowing why that goal matters to you. It's not about how high you climb, but whether your climb means something. Purpose also has a unique power to connect people. When you live for something beyond yourself, a cause, a dream, a responsibility, others are drawn to that energy. They feel it in your words, in your actions, and in your consistency. Purpose is contagious. It inspires others to find their own path, their own meaning. And in that way, your strength multiplies. But purpose requires patience. It demands that you stay committed even when results are slow, even when people doubt you, even when you doubt yourself. There will be seasons of silence where you see no progress. But if your reason is true, those seasons are not wasted. They are the unseen preparation for something remarkable. The tree doesn't grow overnight. It takes time for its roots to anchor deep. Likewise, your purpose anchors you. Even when the world doesn't see your growth yet, never underestimate the power of knowing why you are doing something. When that why is clear, you can face almost any how. Pain becomes bearable. Criticism becomes background noise, and setbacks become temporary. You start to realize that your purpose is far greater than your fear, and that realization changes everything. So, if you ever find yourself tired, lost, or unsure of the path ahead, pause and ask, why did I begin? Let that question pull you back to your truth, because purpose is not found outside. It lives within you, waiting for you to listen. Once you discover it, protect it, nurture it, live for it. When your reason why is strong, you will notice something beautiful. Life no longer feels like a struggle, it feels like a mission. And missions are powerful because they give ordinary people extraordinary strength. Purpose turns pain into progress, confusion into clarity, and effort into meaning. So whatever you do, do it with purpose. Let that be the heartbeat behind your actions, the compass behind your choices, and the reason you rise every time you fall. Because in the end, purpose doesn't just give you power, it gives your life direction, depth, and destiny. Failure is one of life's most misunderstood teachers. From a young age, we are taught to fear it, to avoid it, to hide it. We are told that success is the goal and failure is the opposite. But with time, life shows us something very different. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. It is the foundation upon which every lasting success is built. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has walked through the doors of failure first. There is no other way. When things don't go as planned, our first reaction is disappointment. We feel embarrassed, defeated, or even ashamed. But failure does not mean that you are not capable. It only means that you are being redirected. It is life's way of saying, there is another way to do this. Learn and try again. Failure is not a signal to stop. It is an invitation to begin again with greater wisdom. The truth is, failure reveals who you really are. It strips away the illusions and excuses. It forces you to confront your weaknesses, your habits, and your mindset. Success can make you comfortable, but failure makes you conscious. It opens your eyes to the details you once ignored. It teaches you to listen, to adapt, to improve. Every setback carries a lesson, but only if you are willing to look for it. The greatest danger in life is not falling down. It is refusing to rise again. Each time you fail, you gain something no book or teacher can give you. Experience. You learn the difference between what you think will work and what truly does. You learn the value of patience and the importance of perseverance. You learn that results may take time, but growth begins the moment you decide to try once more. Failure also builds humility. It reminds you that no one succeeds alone, that every achievement stands on 1,000 small mistakes corrected along the way. It softens your pride and deepens your empathy for others who struggle. It teaches you that you don't need to be perfect to make progress. You only need to keep moving forward. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fall, but the ones who refuse to stay down. There will be moments when failure feels final, when the world seems to close its doors on you. But remember this, failure only ends your journey if you let it. Otherwise, it becomes the foundation of your next chapter. What feels like an ending today often turns out to be the beginning of something much greater tomorrow. Sometimes the path you wanted was not the path you needed. Life has a way of rerouting us toward where we truly belong. Every great innovation, every invention, Every piece of progress you see around you is built on layers of failure. The world you admire was shaped by people who dared to try, fail, and try again. They didn't see failure as defeat. They saw it as feedback. Each mistake gave them a clearer understanding of what wouldn't work and brought them one step closer to what would. Without those failures, there would be no growth, no discovery, no success. Failure is also a test of belief. It asks you how deeply you care about your dream. If a single setback makes you quit, perhaps your dream was only a wish, but if you stand again after falling, it means your vision is stronger than your pain. And that strength, that quiet determination, is what turns failures into stepping stones. Every time you rise after falling, you are laying the foundation of resilience brick by brick. When you shift your perspective, you realize that failure is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be grateful for. It refines you. It teaches you what no success can. It gives you stories worth telling, lessons worth sharing, and confidence worth keeping. Each scar from failure is a symbol of courage, not defeat. It shows that you had the strength to face something difficult and the courage to continue despite it. Sometimes people will judge you for your failures. They will see only the fall, not the effort behind it. But you must not let their opinions define your worth. What matters is not what people say about your failures, but what you learn from them. Your journey belongs to you, and only you know the battles you have fought to stand where you are. If you look closely, success often hides in the ashes of failure. It waits for the moment you decide to rise again. Every setback teaches you something about timing, about effort, about people, and most importantly, about yourself. It teaches you that your worth is not measured by how many times you win, but by how many times you rise after losing. The more you fail, the more fearless you become. Because you begin to understand that failure cannot destroy you unless you give it permission to. So the next time you fall short, don't ask, why me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Don't let failure close your heart. Let it open your mind. Remember, every failure is a message in disguise, a lesson wrapped in pain, a step hidden in struggle. And when you gather enough of those lessons, they build a staircase that leads straight to success. In the end, failure does not define you. Your response to it does. Treat it not as a wound, but as wisdom, not as a loss, but as learning. Because every failure you survive makes you stronger, smarter, and more prepared for the future. Failure is not the enemy of success, it is its foundation. And those who understand this truth build their lives on unshakable ground. There is a kind of strength that cannot be seen in muscles or measured in achievements. It is not found in how loudly someone speaks or how forcefully they act. It is found in calmness, in the quiet steadiness of a person who holds themselves with grace even when life feels unbearable. This kind of strength is rare because it requires something deeper than courage. It requires balance, patience, and peace within. When life places you under pressure, when everything around you feels uncertain or unfair, your first instinct might be to fight, shout, or rush. But true power does not always need noise. Real strength often expresses itself through silence, through the ability to remain centered when chaos surrounds you, to remain kind when the world tests your patience, to remain hopeful when everything seems to fall apart. That is what it means to have grace under pressure. Being calm does not mean you are weak. It means you are wise enough to know that reacting in anger does not solve problems, it multiplies them. It means you have learned that storms are temporary and shouting at the rain never stops it from falling. When you learn to stay composed, you gain something remarkable, clarity, and with clarity comes better decisions, deeper understanding, and lasting peace. The world today moves fast. Everyone wants to respond quickly, win every argument, and prove their worth immediately. But those who carry true inner strength know that composure is more powerful than haste. They don't react to everything. They choose when to speak, when to move, and when to stay still. They understand that calmness is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. There will be moments in your life when pressure will test you more than pain, times when expectations from others, responsibilities, or failures begin to weigh so heavily that you feel ready to break. In those moments, grace becomes your greatest ally. It allows you to take a step back, breathe, and remember that control begins with the mind. The situation may be difficult, but your response to it defines everything. People often confuse strength with dominance, with being the loudest in the room or the one who never bends. But look closely and you'll see that the strongest trees are not the ones that resist every wind. They are the ones that bend without breaking. Grace is the same. It allows you to endure pressure without losing your essence. It lets you stay grounded while still moving forward. Grace under pressure also means choosing dignity when frustration would be easier. It means treating others with respect even when you are not treated the same way. It means staying composed when you could choose chaos. There is immense power in restraint, in knowing that you could lash out, but deciding instead to respond with wisdom. That is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. Sometimes grace is simply the act of believing that this moment, however painful or confusing, will pass. It's reminding yourself that storms are not meant to destroy you, but to cleanse the path for new beginnings. Pressure reveals not just your strength, but your spirit. Anyone can appear strong when things go right. It's how you behave when things go wrong that truly defines you. When you stay calm under pressure, you give yourself the gift of perspective. You start to see challenges not as personal attacks, but as temporary tests. You begin to understand that everything in life, even pain, carries a lesson. That realization brings peace. It allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. You stop letting circumstances control your emotions and start letting wisdom guide your actions. There will be times when people mistake your calmness for indifference, when they assume you do not care because you do not show anger. But the truth is, grace is not the absence of emotion. It is the control of it. It is having fire in your heart, but choosing not to let it burn others. It is knowing your worth so deeply that you do not need to prove it through noise. Some of the greatest leaders, inventors, and dreamers the world has known shared one common quality: composure under pressure. They made decisions not from panic but from purpose. They understood that a clear mind can see solutions that a restless one never will. And that is why they built legacies, because they faced storms with dignity and direction. Grace under pressure also means trusting yourself. It means knowing that no matter how heavy the situation becomes, you have within you the ability to carry it with strength and serenity. Life will not always be kind, but you can choose to be. Life will not always be fair, but you can choose to stay fair-minded. You cannot always choose your challenges, but you can always choose your character. True strength is not measured by how loudly you shout, but by how quietly you endure. It is not about winning every battle, but about keeping your peace while fighting them. The calm person is not the one without problems. They are the one who refuses to let problems take their peace away. So when life tests you, when the pressure builds, when others lose control, when situations seem unbearable, remember, grace is your